Hey everybody, I'm Howard and this is Otter's Retirement Corner. So I was watching Blind Views do a answer to my last video about why he and others do videos about Sarasota Tim. And he said something interesting that kind of struck me, and it's in regards to clickbait. You know, whenever I do a Sarasota Tim video, I inevitably get 2, 3, 4, 5 comments about, hey, you're just, riding Tim's coattails. It's just clickbait. You're just getting more views. And, the way Blind Views looked at it is, this is what YouTube tells him to do. This is what YouTube says will reward you. You will make more money if you use clickbait, and putting Sarasota's Tim name in a thumbnail right now is what attracts people for whatever reason. Good, bad, and different. There's 10, 12, 15 different content providers getting a lot of views by using Sarasota Tim's name. I'll have another video about clickbait. I want to get into that a little bit more. And I typically don't use clickbait, but people tell me if you're using Sarasota Tim's name, it's clickbait. So, and the reason I'm saying all this is that's the reason why I put his name at the top of this silly little video about tipping. So a couple of incidences came up this last week regarding tipping, and it made me wonder how, you in retirement, or as you come into retirement, you think about tipping. When you're working and you have cash flow coming in, tipping is just sort of a normal thing we do in this country. The standard used to be if you go to a restaurant and, the server would get a 15% tip if their service was all right. It more became, whatever their service was, they're getting a 15% tip. That 15% kind of slowly creeped up to 20%, which is kind of thought of as a standard. So, and then COVID came up, and restaurants were struggling and people were struggling to make ends meet because no one was going to them. So I actually purposely started tipping 25, 30, 33%, whatever it was. My take on it was they could use the money a lot more than I could. So I'm fine doing that and trying to help some people survive who don't make a lot of money. But my general thought is, people who are serving me, not just in restaurants, but in other ways, typically don't make a lot of money. And if I have the money to spare, I'll generously tip. And I understand there's people on retirement, and this is kind of what I'm getting at. Want to hear what you think about this? Who are living, close to, substandard existences, or just barely getting by, who can't afford the tip, and they probably can't afford to go out to eat much, so, I guess I'm talking to those people just over that level. They have a little extra money, but they're not working. Money's not coming in other than probably Social Security. Those of you who have savings and you're drawing $10, $20, $50,000 a year out of your IRAs or 401ks, or getting pensions, how do you look at tipping now? Has it changed since you retired? So here's a couple little incidences, and again, I've had a lot of contractors in my house. I've had it for just a year now. We're doing repairs and upgrades and maintenance of things that were forgotten about in the years when the owners had this house. So our air conditioner broke down the other day. And I had a repair guy out. He looked at it, said this, part needs to be ordered. They're not going to charge me anything for the part because it's still on warranty, but it's going to cost $630 to install. 3 hours at $210 an hour for labor, which I thought was ridiculous. And I made a comment to the lady I was talking to from the company. Well, if it's going to be that much, you might as well tell the guy who's coming out that he ain't getting a tip. And I was half joking. I was kind of mad at the time, so I thought, I'm just not going to tip this guy. Well, the guy came out, and it's the same guy who's been out here twice before, and I usually tip him very generously, and he does well for me, and he does what he can. So that was out the window. But anyway, I said to him, again, half jokingly, if you could do this job quicker than the 3 hours, or you can find some other way to charge me less than that $630, I'll give you the difference. That'll be your tip. I told him the story, that I told the lady he wasn't getting a tip, and she never told him that, of course. So he fixed the air conditioner, and he charged me $500. Part of it was because it only took like 2.5 hours. All right, so I was going to keep my word. I pulled out cash and I was going to give him $130, which is an enormous tip, and he refused it. Kudos to him. He knew it was too large. I don't think he wanted to think that, he was ripping off his company. So that's okay. So I gave him $60. All right. And that's a huge tip, especially for that amount of time. And I understand that. And I'm not saying you should do that too, but I'm just curious what your habits are. Do you tip contractors? Do you tip people come to your house to repair or fix or, maintain things? Do you tip anybody beyond just the server in the restaurants? And what are you doing in restaurants now? How much are you tipping? And that's my second story. So my wife and I went out to dinner the other night, this weekend, and there's a restaurant, it's a Thai restaurant, and the food is fantastic. We've been there 4 or 5 times now, and the restaurant sort of changed. It's a sit-down restaurant, so you would expect to go and have someone greet you at the door and lead you to a table, a server come and give you a menu, and you order, and they bring your food, and you pay your bill and you leave, and they clean the table and clean the dish, just how restaurants normally work. My guess is sometime during COVID they changed that, like a lot of restaurants did. They kind of had this hands-off attitude, and the format now is, they have a table sitting in front of the kitchen, and you go up there and, you tell them what kind of menu you want. There's different sort of menus they have, and you take your menus, you go sit wherever you want. If you want water, you go up there, you get a glass from them, you go fill your water, you put your ice in, you put your lemon in, whatever it is you want. So you're in essence doing all the work. So you want to order, you get up from your table, you go back to that front table and you tell her what you want to have. And when it's ready, they bring it out and put it on that table. You go over there, you pick up the tray, you take your dishes, put it on your table, give them back the tray. And when you're done, you're expected to clean your table. And I'm sort of, like my mind is like, okay, well, how do I tip this woman or, whoever the tips go to? So it's not a cheap place. Entrees are, typically about $18 each. My wife and I ordered 3. I ate 2 of them, of course. So, we're looking at, it was a mid-50s check with tax. And, normally I would tip, 10, 12, $15, depending on how good the service is. But I thought, I'm doing all the work. Why am I tipping? Is this wrong? Am I right to think that? So the first time I went there, I gave a $5 tip. And I felt really bad about it. I don't know why I felt bad about it. The next time there, I went back to my normal tip. I went, 15, $20. So, and I was kind of doing that the next couple times we went there. And this time we were there, and while we were eating, the people in the booth behind us were getting up to leave, and she yelled out at them, "Hey, don't forget to clear your dishes." And I thought, wow, we don't have to do that. We do that because we're polite and trying to help out the restaurant. But at these prices, if you want to get up and walk out, you get up and walk. I mean, no one's going to make you clear your dishes. But, that stuck in my craw, and it was like, well, that's kind of rude. And it made me go back to the $5 tip for some reason. So I keep rehashing this. What would you do or what would Tim do? WWSTD. What would Sarasota Tim do? You think he tips? You think he tips anywhere? Let me know that in the comments. So the broader question is, I go to Chipotle, typically nobody tips there. It's extremely rare. So do they deserve tips? They're making minimum wage, So I typically put a couple dollars in their tip jar, excuse me, regardless of what I get. I usually use a credit card, but they don't give you the opportunity to fill out a tip on the credit card at those places. So I'm guessing they're not getting a lot of tips. So I'll put a couple dollars in, or maybe I'll give them a 20, and whatever changes, I'll drop it in, whatever it is. And again, I'm not going to criticize anybody's tipping. I kind of don't like the people who say, "Hey, I never tip." That doesn't sit well with me. If you're one of those people and you want to say it, I'm not going to criticize you, but just letting you know, my personal feeling is, we need to tip these people because that's what they expect. That's why they're paid minimum wage in some places, or below minimum wage in some places, because they're expected to make it up on tips. So, let me know your feelings. Has tipping changed for you as you retired? Is it more important or is it less important? Are you giving less? Are you giving more? What should you do? What do you imagine Sarasota Tim is tipping? Okay, and hit me with the barrage of, I'm writing Sarasota Tim's coattails, but if it got you to watch this video, as Blind View says, maybe it's a good idea. Sue me. So thanks for watching. Again, if you like the content, please subscribe. Please comment, and we'll talk about it. Thanks, and we'll see you next time. Bye.